friends. I hope you had a great Easter break. I missed you. Today I'm going to be reading a story about Curious George and the birthday surprise. Look at this cover. I love yellow and I love this cover. I think this is a really pretty cover, huh? Okay. Let's see here. This is George. He was a good little monkey and always very curious. Today is a special day, the man with the yellow hat told George at breakfast. I have a surprise planned and lots to do to get ready. You can help me by staying out of trouble. George was happy to help. What do you guys usually have for breakfast? My daughter usually has pancakes and eggs, and sometimes she has bacon. She calls it macon, but I think pancakes are her favorite. Later, while George was looking out the window and being very good, he heard some tinkling music. It was coming from an ice cream truck. George watched as the whole line of children and their dogs enjoyed some ice cream treats. It looked like fun. But when the ice cream truck moved on, George forgot all about staying out of trouble and went to find some on his own. Uh-oh. Sounds like he's not listening. But here's all the kids and the dogs lined up to get ice cream from the ice cream truck. So after that, George forgot that he was supposed to stay out of trouble. In the living room, George found noisemakers and hats and games. Could this be part of his friend's surprise? Before George could find out, he spotted some streamers, balloons, and colored tissue. He could not resist. Look at all of these fun and pretty party things, like the streamers and the balloons and the party hats. He was very curious what was going on here. Decorating was easy for the little monkey. Still, George was curious about the surprise and what was the good smell that was coming from the kitchen. George followed his nose. Look at this room. Look at this room. He decorated it with all of those things that he found, and he made it perfect for a party. How fun to have a party in that room. That would be a fun birthday party room. Or a fun party room, or a fun room. So he followed his nose. It was a cake, and it looked so good. It looked as good as it smelled. All it needed was frosting. George had seen his friend make frosting before, but today his friend was busy. Maybe George could help. He could frost the cake himself, he thought. First, George put a bit of this in the bowl and next added a bit of that. Then he turned the mixer on. The frosting whirled around and around and around. So there's George. He smelled the cake. And now he's looking at that mixer thinking, I'm gonna make some frosting. So he's getting all of his stuff together to make frosting. And here it is whirling around and around. Have you guys made frosting before for a cake? Yeah? It was whirling too fast. But when George tried to stop the mixer, it only went faster and faster and faster. George lifted the beaters out of the bowl, and the frosting flew everywhere. Look at that. All of the frosting, mixing it, it was going faster and faster and faster until it was going everywhere, everywhere. Sometimes that's what happens to me when I'm making frosting. Does that happen to you? Poor George. He did not mean to make such a mess. He had only wanted to help. Now, how could he clean up such a sticky mess? How would you clean up a sticky mess like that? Would you go ask for help? Or would you use paper towels? Or would you use a dish rag? Just then, George heard the tinkling music again. The ice cream truck was coming back to the street, and George had an idea. Quickly, he opened the door. There's the ice cream truck. So he quickly is opening the door and invited all of the dogs in for a treat. In no time, the kitchen was as clean as a whistle. Look at that. He brought the dogs in, and they're cleaning the kitchen. They're licking the mess up. That's an easy way to clean up a mess, huh?
Mom, what are you doing? You're reading a book?
I'm reading a book.
Oh, I want to say hi.
You want to say hi? Come here. Go over here.
Hi.
Here, sit up here. We're going to finish it together. Okay. When the dogs finished their snack, George took them back outside. The ice cream truck was still there, and so was his friend. George said, "The man with the yellow hat, I've been looking for you. It's time for your surprise," or for the surprise, I should say. George had found hats, games, decorations, and a cake. He was curious what the surprise party was. There's George. And there's the man with the yellow hat. And he's got some coconut ice cream in his hand. Look at that. Do you guys like coconut ice cream? What's your favorite ice cream? I have a few. I think I like mint chocolate chip, but I think my favorite is chocolate. Yes, it was a party. George was happy to see all of his friends. They were so glad to see George too. "What great decorations," Bill said. "What a lot of presents," said Betsy. "Why don't you play some games with the guests, George?" the man in the yellow hat suggested. "I have one more thing to do." So look, there's all his friends, and there's the man in the yellow hat, and he's walking away, and he said, "I have one more thing to do. Why don't you play with all of your friends?" So he's walking away. He's gonna go do one more thing. What do you think it's gonna be? What do you think the man in the yellow hat's gonna do? When George's friend came back, he was carrying a cake covered in candles. This wasn't just any party, it was a birthday party. But George was still curious. Whose birthday was it? He watched to see who would blow out the candles. The man with the yellow hat put the cake down right in front of George. That was the surprise. It was George's birthday. The party was for him. Everyone sang "Happy Birthday." Then George took a deep breath. So here's the man in the yellow hat. He's bringing the cake out in front of all of the friends. And George is wondering, I wonder who this cake is for, huh? And he set it right down in front of him, and he was so surprised. He went through all that trouble decorating that cake, right? Or putting icing on it, huh? And he had no idea that this whole time, all of those decorations and that smell of that cake was just for him. That was a surprise. So George took a big breath. He went, yes, he did that. And then he went, and he made a wish, and he blew out his candles. Look at that. And everyone said, "Happy birthday, George." I think a lot of you had birthdays over the break. So happy birthday if I miss any of them. And I miss you, and I can't wait to see you again. And if you have any birthdays coming up, I hope you have a really fun birthday and an awesome cake too. And have a great week. See you soon. Bye.